Hi, Allison Lee here, and I'm here to share with you my story on how I got A's at two Ivy League universities without doing my homework. And my story is that I was a straight A student in high school, and then I went on to Cornell University, and I completely drowned. I got D's and C's, and I was breaking out, gaining weight, having stomach issues, and I just couldn't hack it. So I actually took my second semester freshman year off, and I told my parents I wasn't going back to school. I said I looked around and everyone else was so much smarter than me. They didn't seem to have the troubles I was having, and I don't know why. I just couldn't glide through school like everybody else was doing. Well, thank goodness they didn't listen to me, because they threw me back onto campus, and I drowned again. So I knew I had to start doing things differently. And what I started doing was I actually stopped doing my homework. And when I stopped doing my homework, my grades started to improve. So this is my story, and these are 5 of the steps that I took to improve my academic success at Cornell. And not only did I improve my academic success, but after graduating Cornell with A's, I went on to get into Harvard University, and I got straight A's without doing my homework again. So I really want to encourage you that if you have a bad transcript now, you can get into any school you want. I mean, I think that colleges look for an improvement in grades, so I hope that encourages you. So as I stated, step number 1 is don't do your homework. So if you're not going to be doing your homework, it is crucial that you do step number 2. And step number 2 is actually the most important step in all the steps I'm going to give you. And that is go to every class. And you need to go to every class and stay awake and go on time and not daydream and not text and not email, and listen to everything the professor says and write down everything the professor says. Take voracious notes. And this is key, because I'm telling you, what the professor says is what's going to be on the exam. All the homework, all the other stuff, the lab work, everything is extra. But what comes out of the professor's mouth is what's going to be on the test, and is what you should be writing in your papers. So if you can just do this, I know it's going to be hard, because a lot of students I know just want to sleep during class, and you doze off. You can't. You have to stay alert from beginning to end. And then after you stay awake and go to every class, you're awake in every class, you're going to be doing step number 3. So you're going to be taking great notes for all of your classes, and then coming home or going to the library that night, that evening, and reviewing all your class notes. And this is also key, because if you can do this on a consistent daily, or at least if you can't do it daily, then get to it by the weekend. If you can do it on a consistent basis, then by the time the exam time rolls around, you are going to be so much further ahead of everyone else, because the notes are already going to be on your head. Not only will you have great notes that you can review, because you're going to be staying awake in every class, you're already going to have them in your head because you've already reviewed them. So let me tell you, if you can just do step number 2 and step number 3 well on a consistent basis, your grades are going to soar. So let me give you an illustration of why I believe this to be so. This is all the things that, or some of the things that we do in school. We do our homework, we do our readings, we have lab work, we have extra credit, and these are all great and wonderful things. But what I did, and I see a lot of students still doing, is I tried to do everything. And I was doing my homework and going to every discussion group. I felt like I'm paying so much money, so I have to do everything. And I put equal importance to all these things. And yes, I understood that homework was probably more important than extra credit, and maybe the lab work was more important than the reserve readings. I understood that, but I tried to do everything. And that's where I faltered, because I couldn't do everything. Maybe there's that, kid, that whiz kid, who is smart enough and a fast enough reader to do everything and have a social life. Well, I wasn't, and I think the majority of students, really, I don't know anyone who was able, I don't really know anyone, or not too many people who were able to do everything. So this is the, instead of this is the way you should be thinking. when I changed my study habits to this model, this is when my grades soared and I started to get A's. What comes out of the professor's mouth is crucial. If you can just simplify your studying habits to this and get that, just memorize, learn, understand everything that comes out of the professor's mouth, because this is what's going to be on the test. And all the other stuff is extraneous. Just get that and you'll start to get A's. I mean, if you have the time to do your homework, that's great. I didn't. I was a slow reader. I still am. I'm actually a very slow thinker. I process things very slowly. I didn't have the time to do all this. And so that's why I just stopped. I stopped doing a lot of things. I stopped going to study groups. But what I did was, what a lot of people don't do, is I stayed awake at every class, took down everything the professor said, and then I studied and memorized it that night. So my encouragement to you is to try to put a lot of emphasis on this and try to say no or not right now to these other things. Which brings me to step number 4. It's okay to say no. And I say this because I understand when you get to school, there's so many great things to do. There's so many parties, there's so many social activities, there's so many groups that you want to join, and that's all really great. But you don't have time to do everything. And it's a mark of a mature person to be able to prioritize and understand what's important in your life. And I want to tell you that I've seen 50 and 60-year-olds to this day saying yes to everything. And you know why you say yes to everything? I'm so glad I understood this at a young age. Someone had told me people say yes to everything because they're afraid to miss out. And when I heard that, it just clicked with me. And I want to encourage you that you will not miss out on life. There will always be another party. There will always be another dance. There will always be another group that you can join. And that's not only for now, but for the rest of your life. It's okay to say no. In fact, I think you look like a more mature person when you say, you know what, that's not important to me right now, and I'm going to say no to that, but I'm going to say yes to this. So that's my step number 4. And step number 5 is squash perfectionism. So when I went to college, I was such a perfectionist, and I wanted to dot every I and cross every T, and I wanted to do every paper perfectly. I wanted to get straight A's, I wanted to get A pluses, and I worked it, and I worked a paper over and over and over again. I still see students doing that now. They finish a paper and they say, no, I want to look at it again. I want to do this. I want to be perfect. I want to be perfect. And then they get an extension, and then they move. It just doesn't end. Well, I just want to, I hope I don't step on too many toes when I say this, but, perfectionism is actually a form of addiction, and it's a way of us overindulging our pride. And so if you have a problem with this, I encourage you to look deep within yourself and understand why you feel like you need to be perfect, because it's very debilitating. When you feel like you have to be perfect, sometimes you don't even get started because you're afraid of not being perfect. So I think when you do something, do it the best you can and then move on. You do the best you can, say it's done, and then move on to the next thing. And then you do the next thing. You say done and move on to the next thing. Done and move on to the next thing. And develop a rhythm in your life of doing the best you can, being done with it, and then moving on. And so these are my 5 tips on how I got A's at Cornell and also Harvard without doing my homework. And I hope it helps you. I hope it encourages you. If you're interested in learning about all my 7 steps, my book, D to A in the Ivy League, is on Amazon.com. All right, thank you very much.